Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
Today, we're going to talk about securing your future. Like you as the licensed agent on the conference call or on social media involved in today's training. How can you secure your future? And in my portion of today's conversation, I'm going to share some thoughts on residual income, renewals, and why writing quality business that stays on the books can help you grow your business. I know a little bit about what Adam's going to share on his side of the conversation, but I know in my side of the conversation, I'm going to get very granular. I'm going to get very specific. I'm going to get into the weeds about what keeping business on the books really looks like for you financially. So you have the opportunity to write it down and watch it and plug your numbers in if you want. But I really want you to dial into these numbers and realize how real you can make this conversation go into your bank account. That's part of the problem in this industry too, right? Like there are so many conversations out there, some of them real, some of them fake, some of them somewhere in the middle, but they're all conversations. When it actually becomes real numbers, you can remove the emotion from the conversation, put that formula to work, and deposit that money into your business bank account. And our theme for the year, what has it been? The underpinning plot line of this entire year's conversation has been legacy and vision. What better way to start the beginning of the end of December than to talk about the beginning of the end of the year in December by talking about securing your future. Securing your future makes a significant difference so that you're not constantly chasing first-year commissions the rest of your life. Here's the thing. There's a lot of sexy fads in this business. There's a lot of things that are exciting. Selling IULs in your underwear from your bed. Guess what? No residual income. Doing all these things that are easy today and don't pay you tomorrow. Guess what? No residual income. Because our theme this year has been residual income through establishing your legacy and your vision, let's get into those numbers today. So first, let's talk actual income. For every final expense application that you sell, let's assume the average monthly premium is $75 a month, right? We run the numbers. We know the numbers. That number's pretty solid. If you're watching this or listening to this conversation and your average premium is below $75 a month, tune in a little bit closer to these trainings and this conversation. But let's just assume for the purposes of today's conversation that your average monthly premium is $75 a month and your average renewals are about 5%. There's a lot of products out there in the industry right now with absolute garbage renewals. That's why we don't talk about them very often. But let's just assume your average renewal is 5%. And let's assume that your client keeps the policy all of year one and into year two. That client, Miss Betty, Miss Johnson, or whoever you want to call her, Mildred, as Dave Duford would say, pays you approximately $3.75 a month. Every month she keeps that policy on a 5% renewal. Well, it's pretty solid, right? I'm not going to pay my mortgage off $375 a month, but that's a good number to understand. Now, let's presume, or hope that you're writing 20 policies a month, 5 policies a week. On a $75 a month average, factoring in that in month 10, 11, and 12, that income is going to stack on top of itself. You're going to begin to receive approximately $1,000 to $1,500 a month in back end month 10, 11, and 12 renewals by writing 20 policies a month. So why would you fight for that number? Why is that number so important to you? Why is writing 20 policies a month so important? Because it'll pay you freaking $1,500 a month once you push that into year two, and all those numbers begin to stack on top of each other. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk ancillary products now. Let's say that you write 4. That's it. 1 a week, 4 ancillary policies a week. And let's assume the average premium of an ancillary policy is $35 a month, like the lowest of the lowest. Like they always say yes when this is the number that's shown to them. $35 a month. And a 10% renewal, because ancillary products typically have higher renewals. So every ancillary product you sell is worth $3.50 a month. Again, you're not going to pay your mortgage or your light bill, put gas in your car with $3.50 a month. We get it. But these numbers stack, and you'll see that in just a minute. So $3.50 a month for every ancillary policy, $3.75 a month for every life policy. Every Medicare Advantage enrollment, you guys know this number, right? I mean, call it out if you're watching. $26 a month, approximately, depending on where you are. Ricky in New Jersey gets paid a whole lot more because I don't know why that's New Jersey. It's like 30 there. $26 a month on Medicare. And if 3/4 of those 20 applications a month, that means about 15 of the people you sell life insurance to, you can help with their Medicare. And then you have a solid annual enrollment like everybody here in this group has had. You place 200 Medicare apps on the books over a 12-month period. There is another, here's the number, $5,200 in residual income. So let's add these numbers together. You guys having fun yet? Let's add these numbers together. $5,200 a month, residual income from Medicare. Got it? $14 a month, ancillary products. Not that much, but it stacks up. $1,500 a month, final expense. And then $900. I forget where that number came from. Forgive me on that one. Your total residual income over the course of a year from doing a 20 application a month pace is $91,000. $91,000 from 20 final expense applications, 4 ancillary products, and 200 Medicare enrollments over the year. Push that ball into year 2. Pretty awesome, right? If that doesn't mean anything to you, then this business isn't the right fit for you. And that's just residual income. Stack on top of that what first-year commissions generate from 20 applications a month, and you can see the power of this industry. Now, let's talk about by keeping business on the books. Like you wrote the application and she actually kept it. You wrote good quality business and they kept that good quality business. The kind of clients that call you from 2018 and want to buy more insurance because you sold them a good policy in 2018. We've all lived it and experienced it, right? The kind of people you can go back and see because you're having a bad day and you need someone that likes you and trusts you. And those are the kind of people that residual income allows you to talk to. Now that we talked about the numbers, here's the thing. There are 7 more, count them, 7 more sales opportunities that you're going to have by keeping good quality business from your primary product. 7 more sales opportunities. Here they are. Number 1, your secondary sale. If you led with life, we're talking Medicare. If you led with Medicare, we're talking life. Whatever that second pivot is off your primary product is that first additional sales opportunity that you're acquired from writing that primary product. Third is ancillary products. We talked about those already. You guys know the numbers: cancer, heart attack, stroke, critical illness. The third product option you're going to have by selling a solid initial policy. Fourth sales opportunity you have from writing one quality piece of business that sticks on the books and building that relationship. Grandkid policies. Again, incredibly easy, $5 to $35 a month kind of business that you can write because you wrote good business from the very beginning. 6, or I don't know what number it is at this point, annuities and next generation business. That means you find out after writing Miss Johnson in year 1 that when you went back in year 2, she has annuity money and you have the confidence to talk to her about the annuity money, and she has the confidence in you to take the annuity because she trusts you. In that same generation of referral opportunities that are now created because of that initial sale opportunity, you now have the referrals that come because you helped one person and she knows other people that you can help. Erin is a huge advocate of referrals. One of these days, we're going to get her on this conversation to share her thoughts on referrals. But you don't get referrals if you don't get good quality business that sticks and stays in that primary sale. And here's the last one. Add-on sales to that initial final expense piece of business and life event business. What's life event business? Well, your final expense client got married. It happens, and now they want policies for the new marriage. Your final expense client moves. Your final expense client experiences a new death in their friends or family, and now they want more insurance. Something in their life happened, and they walked back over to the fridge, and they saw your phone number, and they called you. That's the kind of business that you get when you start off writing good quality business. If that isn't motivation yet, and $91,000 a year didn't wake you up, I don't know what to say at this point. Got to write good quality business because all this stuff comes as a result of doing that. Now, lastly, what does all this residual and renewal income do to you for your business and for your life? Well, guess what? It begins early on in the process to help you cover your lead cost if you're purchasing your leads. Hey, within about a year's time, your residual and renewal income really means you're on a free lead program. Next, good residual and renewal income diminishes chargebacks. When you're focusing on a few primary companies, when you only have a few companies on advances and everything else, man, you can have them, but we get the point on that conversation. When you're focusing on a few primary companies, your residual income helps diminish your chargeback risk that we're all going to get. Business is going to fall off no matter what you do. Third, a certain percentage, that is. What else can renewals and residual incomes do is it can help you increase your lead flow. I remember at the first IMO I ever worked at, I wanted to increase my leads. I'm like, maybe if I had more people to see, I'd sell more insurance. This seems to make sense, right? And I reached out and I asked people, should I increase my lead order? No, why would you do such a thing? Well, maybe I should go work somewhere else that they're telling me not to grow my business. That was the opening salvo right there of that change. But I realized now that I was making residual and renewal income all on my own pen, I could buy 20, now 25 leads a week. And it really didn't cost me any more money because I was making that money back every month. What else can it do? It can stabilize your personal or your business budget. Got to have those budgets. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It can help you expand your business. If you're getting $1,500 a month in residual income from your life business, you can take that $1,500 a month and grow your business by hiring staff, an appointment setter, a VA, a personal assistant, someone to help you grow. And lastly, what does residual and renewal income do to your business? Well, I can talk about two situations over the course of the last 10 years that if it wasn't for residual income, if it wasn't for renewal income, if it wasn't for a book of business I could fall back on and farm through, I would be in a far different situation, and maybe none of this would even exist. We all remember COVID, right? Well, many people in COVID fell in one of three categories. They had renewals, residual incomes, and savings, and they were going to figure it out, but they wouldn't fail out however long it took. There were people that just got started, and God bless them, some of them made it, but most of them didn't. And there were people that did not have residuals, renewals, or a solid book of business, and it was very scary for them. Maybe COVID never happens again. Maybe something different happens. Likely, some other major event takes place. Residual and renewal income can give you that peace of mind in that moment where the world is shutting down, that you look at your bank account, you look at your income, and you divide it by 6, and you say, all right, I got enough money that we're not going to lose the house or starve for this amount of time while the world's on its ass. That's what it did for me. That's what it did for Adam. That's what it did for so many others that remained consistent to the 20 application a month pattern. I'll tell you one other life emergency that took place that if it wasn't for residual and renewal income, I don't know if we would be here. June of 2022, I worked in the field selling policies maybe 2 days. Some of it was planned. Many of it wasn't. I had a lifetime friend killed tragically on a trip, and I missed a good week's worth of work taking care of attending those services. I had tragedy take place at home, needed to attend to those issues. I had a vacation that was planned for a year that I was still able to go on, and a trip for insurance toolkits that I had to attend in Vegas. Over the course of the month, I maybe worked in the field selling new business like 2 days. If it wasn't for residuals and renewal income and a book of quality business, this story may have ended very differently. So hopefully that connects with somebody in the first portion of today's conversation as we shift over into the second portion with Adam, that residual and renewal income can make a significant difference in growing your business and finding additional business. And that tangible number, Adam, $91,368 a year from 20 life applications, 4 ancillary products, and a partridge in a pear tree. What do you think?
Yeah, you can't beat that. Nothing like building up the good renewals. I mean, honestly, I think that really should be the goal for people in this business. It's one thing to make that upfront money, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the portion I actually put together. But yeah, that should be the goal. People want to build that residual income. As you get older, gets to the point where maybe you don't want to work as much. Maybe you want to get to the point where you can retire. Well, I mean, how are you going to be able to retire if you don't have any income still coming in? I mean, unless you just made so much money and you were really, really good at investing and saving, it's good to still have that extra income. I mean, we deal with people in final expense every day that are living on a fixed income. They're living on their Social Security, and that's all they have. And I mean, the way that they live, I mean, they wish that they had more. Every day I talk to people, and they tell them that's exactly what they tell me. This Social Security is barely enough to get by. So you can't depend on that, and who knows what the future will bring with any of that. But if you're dependent upon yourself and you do the right thing and you put money aside, and not only that, you do what you can to build those renewals. I think it's very, very crucial.
I want to get your thoughts on some of these specifics, and then we can get into the meat and potatoes of your content. I think the average premium of around $75 a month has proven to be something that maybe originally about 2 years ago, you didn't believe me when I said it. But with the rising cost of funerals, with the cost of inflation, with the confidence in writing quality business, is that a number that you feel confident in agreeing most people can probably afford when you're writing quality business?
You said how much? 75 a month?
Yeah, between 50 and 75. I don't think you used to believe until you saw people buying $20,000 and $25,000 policies this year.
Yeah. Well, I think people just understand that everything costs more these days. I was actually talking to my wife about that last night. I mean, I've written so many $10,000 policies in the past where the average premium was maybe only $40 or $50 a month. But the problem is people are experiencing funerals. They're seeing people around them that passed away, and they realize that 10,000 is just not enough anymore to cover a burial. And even if their budget was around $50 a month, they're willing to stretch that a little bit further if they know that $50 a month is only going to get them 10,000 in coverage, because they want to make sure that there's going to be enough there to cover all those expenses.
And look at it another way too. I remember years ago, I used to have 2 policies on the books with Kemper Life. It was an old guaranteed issue carrier we used to use back in the day. I'm sure Ricky wrote a few Kempers himself. And those 2 policies a month stayed on the books for quite a few years. One of them eventually fell off. I think the other one died off. But I used to get about $5 a month every month religiously from Kemper Life. That product had renewals where products from other carriers, 3-letter carriers in the guaranteed issue space that recently changed their name, don't have any renewals. Now, $4 a month, $5 a month wasn't going to pay my bills, but it was a tangible presence in my deposits. And those numbers begin to stack up. Adam, you're not going to get rich or retire to Puerto Rico off $3.75 a month, but understanding that tangible number in every single application, hopefully that encourages people to keep the business that they write, so those numbers can begin to mount on top of each other. And realistically, it's also important to remember when we're talking about that initial sale, each time you write that primary piece of business, I was talking to 2 of colleagues of ours, Tori and Josh, yesterday, that second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth products you sell down that family tree and into that family build persistency in that block of business. Sure, you sell one final expense application with American Amicable for $75 a month, but then you write the Medicare business that adds persistency because you're putting money back into their life. Then you add the ancillary products so that when they get cancer, they don't go broke. Then you write the grandkids so they've got that peace of mind that you're their insurance agent for life because you've protected multiple people in their life. You see how all these policies don't just additionally make you more money? All these additional policies build persistency. You write one policy, even if it's the cheapest policy in the books. You go in there and you write Life Shield or Royal Arcanum's whole life product, and you beat the rate by $10 a month. Guess what? There's someone who's better looking, faster talking, and better than you that could get in that home and no matter the price, replace the policy. Either ethically or unethically, it can happen. I had a client, and you guys know the story, who recently took out a Polish Falcons policy when the rates were lower than they should have been. And guess what? Another Yahoo got in the home and replaced the policy. And tragically, that lady died the next month, and it didn't pay because she didn't even make the payment. Doesn't matter if you write the cheapest thing on the books. If you only wrote one policy in the home, it's pretty easy to undo. You write one Medicare plan and you don't pair it with anything else, you're nobody to them. You guys know this. On a life insurance policy, your name is on the policy. Your address, your actual legal address in many cases, is on the policy. You are real to them because you're in their policy. Guess what? On the back of their Cigna card, your name ain't there. You may not be as real to them in that situation unless you place other products in that situation. Next, I may not be the best at this, but I am not going to speak with any level of authority on annuities, but I'm going to remind you that you need to be talking to your clients about these add-on opportunities. Over the course of the last several weeks, Adam has capitalized on add-on opportunities, recognizing all the additional sales he can make from people who originally trusted him. If you've been in this business longer than 1 or 2 years, there's almost no excuse to have a 0 day, because you should be going into the field knowing who else you've sold in that area, knowing you can fall back on them if needed. Adam, I haven't had a 0 day in this business since probably 2018, simply because of writing quality business and having people to go back to if I know I needed them.
Well, like you mentioned, Chris, with even going back on existing policyholders, I mean, those are just great ways to add additional business, keeping the clients in front of you. And that's something really I was going to talk about. My production this week, I mean, I had a decent week of production, but it was just really just a few apps. But so it'll only take a few minutes to kind of go through that. But I was going to go through that because it kind of does relate to what we're talking about, because a good portion of what I wrote was existing policyholders. And I think that this time of year, especially when, when people have that mindset that people don't want to talk to you, that it's the end of the year, that Christmas is around the corner, and just all these different excuses. Well, hey, your policyholders, they've already sat down with you before. They're great people to sit down with, to really look at it almost as like an added bonus. Focus on your leads, but always go back to your existing clients, because there's a lot of business to be written there. And I've written a heck of a lot of business just over the last few weeks off of existing policyholders. And really just, a little bit of a combination. But this week, because of the fact that Thanksgiving took off work on Thanksgiving, I didn't really work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I decided to go out Monday. So I went out Monday. I didn't have any appointments set. I just pretty much door knocked leads. I didn't have a whole lot of success, but I actually did set up quite a bit of a day for Tuesday. There were some people that I couldn't meet with on Monday that I was at least able to set up for Tuesday. And the appointment setters had set up appointments for me for Tuesday. So my Tuesday was looking to be a pretty solid day. And I set a goal of writing 10,000 in premium this week. So, and that had a lot to do with the fact that I had a pretty good day already set up for Tuesday. I had a feeling that I was just going to crush it and just put up a lot of premium. Sometimes things just don't go as planned, unfortunately. First appointment was an existing policyholder of an ex-agent that was terminated with the carrier just for lack of production. I don't even know if he's in the business anymore. Went and saw the person. Well, actually went to see the person, got there. Nobody was home. I called and the lady was like, "Oh, I just thought that you were going to call to talk about this." And I didn't really know the person because I had never met with him in the past. Tried to maybe set up another appointment. I might get somewhere with it, but it was just kind of a waste of time. And it was a good hour out of my way. So then from there had another 3 appointments. 3 appointments in a row that weren't home. Or actually, no, two that weren't home, and then one that called me to reschedule. So again, where I thought that my Tuesday was going to be pretty solid, just kind of turned out to be a flop. And then I had an existing policyholder appointment at 4:00 in the afternoon. And this was one that I had already met with like maybe a few days before Thanksgiving. And she just is one. I mean, she's got other policies with me. And she's just one that she'll just never do anything the first visit. Like I could say anything and it doesn't matter. I tried everything. It didn't matter. But she said, call me next week. And then, maybe, I'll figure out what I want to do. So I called her Monday and she said, yeah, come by tomorrow at 4:00 and we'll get it taken care of. And I was adding on coverage for her and her husband. So I got there at 4:00. She wasn't home. Tried calling her, wasn't answering her phone, texted her, didn't get anywhere with anything. So, like I said, like my whole Tuesday, it seemed like it was going to be really good. It was turning out to be not the greatest. So then I'm always trying to figure out where can I go to make a sale because I don't want to go home without anything. And I remembered there was an app that I wrote the day before Thanksgiving with American Amicable, and I had yet to receive a final decision on it. It was one that they pushed to like return of premium due to an anti-addiction medication. It's and in the state of Illinois, maybe other states are this way as well. Uh, I guess now it's like a requirement for doctors if they're prescribing an opioid that they also have to prescribe like this anti addiction med. The lady, she had no addiction issues. I put notes to American Amicable about that because everything else seemed to be pretty decent with her health. And anyways, I hadn't gotten a response yet. I figured, heck, it's Tuesday at this point. I guess it's just going to stay return of premium. So it was about maybe a 40-minute drive, and I was leaving the appointment that wasn't home, the existing policyholder, and I was I probably drove about halfway to that stop when my phone rang, and it was actually the existing policyholder calling me, and she said, "Adam, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot. I'm home now. Can you come back?" And I'm like, sure. So I ended up turning around and, got off the highway, kind of did like a U-turn, got back on the other side of the highway and just headed back over there. Yeah. And, and it was, it was like $116 a month between her and her husband. So ended up being a pretty good sale. And then it was so funny. I got back to my car and I checked my emails, and I had actually gotten an email from American Amicable that the person I was going to see to rewrite something else actually was approved, first day coverage. So I'm glad that I didn't end up going on the journey to go rewrite the other policy because it ended up getting approved anyways. So
Adam, real quick, if you're watching into this point of the conversation, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe on whatever method you are watching us. We're both on Spotify, StreamYard, social media, everywhere, maybe even in your mailbox one day, someday soon. Wherever you're watching us, make sure you interact with that content so we can continue to grow the audience of people that we help on a regular basis.
All right. So, So anyways, my Tuesday, like I said, it kind of seemed like it was going to be a really productive day. Still ended up writing like $1,400 of premium. So I was happy with that. Had another appointment after that I ended up getting too late that I didn't really do anything yet with. I think I probably will end up writing a short-term disability policy on the person. Again, existing policyholder of mine. She still works. She has a special needs son also that she takes care of. And she just knows that if she were to become disabled, she is going to need some more income coming in. So, I mean, I think that'll probably be a slam dunk too. I think she's just trying to work some things out to figure out how to fit it into her budget. But then Wednesday, I mean, I had a pretty open day. I had one appointment set later on in the day, 5:00 at night. Outside of that, I door knocked a bunch of leads. Didn't really get a whole lot of anywhere with anybody. Talked to one person that sounded promising, but still didn't get anywhere with her. And then I had the 5:00 appointment was it was a direct mail lead that was 3 years old. Yeah.
Hold up. The direct mail lead was how old again?
Was 3 years old.
That's incredible. Sorry,
Yeah.
keep going.
So, and someone, uh, I don't. People might have seen Chris post some stuff from an agent earlier in the week that just posted. Chris had posted stuff on there about all this roll up debt, and she owed like thousands of dollars of money back to these different carriers, and she posted how Chris didn't really do anything for her, and Chris hooked me up with a bunch of leads this week. And with those leads, I was able to have an appointment set, and I made a sale on it. So, people like to come up with excuses of reasons why they're not succeeding, and they don't like to blame themselves. They always like to look at other reasons why they are failing. Chris is not the reason why this person failed. He's done more than enough to help me, and I know many other agents as well. So, really appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So yeah, 5 o'clock. Yeah, this person, she had like 3 policies. Actually, she took out a policy right around the time that this lead was originally generated. So I almost think that the leads were probably, they're aged leads. They were probably recycled and resold, and evidently the person made a sale on the lead. I'm assuming it kind of seemed that way, but I was still able to get in. And the way I sold it, I like to sell on the value, and she had plenty of coverage, but she didn't have what I have to offer. And what that is the American Amicable Platinum product with the Everest that, most of you that have been on these calls a lot have heard me talk about it a lot. It has the funeral concierge service that helps with the planning and negotiating prices. I pretty much tell the client that all your family has to do when you die is make one phone call, and the next thing they have to do is show up at the funeral. And they really like that. It takes a lot off of the family. So that's really how I was able to make that sale. I told her, you know what, this is the policy that will take care of all of your immediate expenses. The funeral home wants that money up front. This is going to be there. It's also going to help with the planning and put all of that in order. So I told her most of my clients, they have a policy like this just for that sole purpose of taking care of the funeral, all the immediate expenses. And I told her they never cancel this policy because there's nothing else like this out there. And they know that this is the most important policy that they have. Maybe that's why I have such good persistency.
If you're not picking up the value and the verbiage of what he's using there, you're missing the boat. I want to make sure you use the line. You're probably going to it next. Something about how your dad has it and he would never lose it. Or you said it to me earlier and it was just like, that's gold.
Yeah, exactly. I talk about, I tell him, look at, this is something that will make things a lot easier on myself when something happens to my parents. So, it's something that I think is very important. And I mean, I don't want to have to go into a funeral home and pick out caskets and all that stuff. I'd rather have my parents take care of all that stuff ahead of time. So it hits home, I think, a little bit too. And I even usually ask the client, who's going to be the one who's going to be handling your funeral? They usually say, oh, my son or my daughter. Well, has he ever had to plan a funeral? And see how they respond. And then the next thing I always ask is, what do you think that day is going to look like for him? And they really start to think a lot about it. And then that's when I talk about the Everest and how they assist and they help, and they're going to make the toughest day in her son's life a heck of a lot easier. So it really sells itself. So yeah, that was how I made the sale Wednesday night. That, like I said, she had plenty of coverage. She had, it was a $30,000 policy that she took out a few years ago, whole life. It was a good policy. I told her, I mean, you've had it for over 2 years. Don't mess with it. It's a good policy. And she also had some coverage through her job that it was like a group term policy. So I told her that at some point will expire, but at least we can put her in a permanent plan. And in time, once her coverage through work totally expires, she can always increase what she's doing with me. And then I gave her a magnet and she put it on her fridge. So I know she'll be calling me in the future. And then yesterday, I had a few existing policyholder appointments. And the first one was at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was a no-show. Tried calling the person, didn't answer. Tried texting, didn't answer. We'll see. Maybe we can get it rescheduled. The next one is a husband and wife that has had coverage with me since I think probably 2017. And right now they're 83 and 82 years old.
Hmm.
And they still handle all their own business. Imagine that.
It's shocking. Hold on a second. What? You
Yeah.
mean they don't have their kids making all their decisions for them?
Their kids have never had to be asked if they should move forward with a policy with me. Uh, yeah, at 83 and 82 years old. I mean, this lady, very organized. I mean, she has like a notepad, got all her bills in there, just kind of working out her budget and all this stuff. And they already had a $15,000 policy with me. And then they each had a $5,000 policy with me. So they had 20,000 total already. And because they're so old, I mean, even the original policy I wrote was like 7 years ago. And then the one after that, I couldn't believe it. Like I looked at the application date and it was like 4 years ago. Like I couldn't believe I hadn't seen these people for 4 years. Like it felt like it was like maybe a year and a half ago that I'd been there, but it was 4 years.
Not to sidetrack you there, I know I could do that pretty badly to you. The fact is that when you see the kind of business that you write, doesn't it remind you of how remaining persistent in this business has proven to be true? Doesn't it remind you that if you don't give up, you'll continue to get rewards in return? Doesn't it show you that people have trusted you, have bought from you? And when I see that kind of business, I had one from 2018 on Tuesday, Adam, it made me feel like reassured to keep going on no matter the good days or the bad days, because these people have bought, trusted, and now are calling back looking for more help. It's an awesome feeling.
Yeah. I mean, why not go back? I mean, it's so easy. You talk about inflation, talk about the fact that I bring it up all the time. I've been doing this 21 years. When I first got in the business, you could be buried for $6,000 and now it's 2 to 3 times that much. So you live another 10 years, 20 years, how much more is it going to go up? So it's great to focus on right now, but you got to look down the road a little bit too. And I might not talk about that a whole lot on the initial sale because I just want to focus on the immediate need, but it's a great way when you go back to write additional coverage to make sure that you can, add on a little bit more. So anyways, yeah, this husband and wife, they had, like I said, the 20,000 a piece, and adding up all the premiums, they were already paying $400 a month for their coverage with me. 20,000 a piece. I mean, we're talking about first policy they probably took out when they were like 76, 77 years old, 15,000 a piece. I mean, yeah, that's a big premium. Then they added on another 5. And then so then we just kind of got to talking a little bit yesterday, and I almost didn't know if I'd be able to do anything for them on my way there because I knew that they had 2 policies a piece already, and they were already paying a pretty decent amount of premium each month. And so, yeah, I didn't know. But anyways, we just kind of got to talking, and the old man was like, I got a little bit of extra money each month. I've been thinking about still maybe adding a little bit more. I can't take this money with me. So, I might as well do something with it. And ended up writing them another 5,000 a piece that ended up, I think it was like around $165 a month total. And that's just because, they, again, up there in age, the husband, he was close to $100 a month for a $5,000 policy. I think it was like 95 a month. And the wife was like in the 60s. So yeah, it was like 163, I think, total. So that was pretty good, pretty happy to write that. That put me at like around 4,000 in premium for the week. And then I had Chris send me some leads. I paid for some leads, and I had him send me some earlier in the day. I had a little bit of time to kill before my 5 o'clock appointment, and I put a route together to door knock some leads. I happened to have a lead that was only about maybe 10 or 15 minutes away from that appointment that I had just written the husband and wife. And I door knocked it cold, and lady comes to the door, got in the house. Well, that wasn't an issue. We sat down, we talked about the final expense, and it was more of an affordability thing. I think she wants to move forward with something in the future, but I just couldn't talk her into it. But then I asked her about her Medicare.
Well, time out.
Yeah.
You couldn't talk her into it, so you didn't talk her into it so that you didn't build up a bunch of bad debt and chargebacks, forcing people into things. Correct?
True. Yeah.
Did you put down a fake bank account just to get it issued so that you could pay your rent?
Oh, man.
your mortgage.
Chris,
No.
And that's something I had an agent, a prospective agent call me last night. And that was something he said, yeah, I talked to this one organization who they told me that within a month or two, I'd probably be making about $40,000 a month. And I'm like, don't even listen to that sort of thing. Like, I wish that was true,
Yeah.
but and I told him there's so much unethical practices out there. Just things that are even taught of, just situations I run into where people don't even realize they took out a policy, but the agent might have tried selling it over the phone and they just finangled them into a policy that they didn't even realize that they took out.
Yeah.
So,
and people,
sorry, Chris, give me 1 second.
Yeah. People need to remember that our actions directly affect the results in our industry. Like what you do and the decisions that you make, good, bad, or indifferent, directly affect the long-term actions of this industry. Why do you think for a second that a lot of carriers, most carriers, nearly all of them, don't pay advances on submission anymore? Bad agents' faults, not Adam's fault, not my fault. The bad crop of crap that had shoveled its way through this industry is why most stuff is paid on issue now. Why do you think carriers are getting so strict about processes for face-to-face and telesales? Because y'all messed it up. Not us, y'all. I mean, if you're watching this on a Friday, you probably care about your business, but other people messed it up. Like bad decisions agents make reflect poorly on everybody else once they failed out of the business. Like these companies are not, they're 100-year-old institutions that are required to have reserves, capital, surplus, operating expenses, shareholders. Like some of these carriers, people work there their entire lives. And that means a lot to them and their community and their legacy. Adam, a lot of the fraternal companies we have century-old reputations and heritages to look up to and to protect. And bad actions by bad actors, what happens, it hurts us. So don't be people making those kind of decisions because you might be gone and quit, but you're leaving your crap behind. And that does affect the long-term of the industry.
Well, yeah, bottom line, you just got to do what's right. You got to look out for your people. Whether you're running an insurance company, whether you're running an agency, whether you're just working with clients, always just look out for your people, do the right thing, and put others' interests ahead of your own. Do what's right for them. And you'll be repaid time and time again, but you're not going to be in the business very long if you're screwing all your people over, whether that's companies taking away renewals from their agents, whether that's agencies, just not doing right to their people, whatever, or even the agent that is not doing right to their client. You do what's right for your people. In the end, that's how you're going to build a good, productive, long-term, substantial business.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so then after that, Chris, so like I said, I door knocked the lady I door knocked that I couldn't write any final expense on yet. I think I still may. I asked her about her Medicare and she said, yeah, I just renewed this plan, but I don't know if the guy I talked to knew what he was talking about because I have neighbors of mine that told me that they get like this monthly allowance where they get money for food and groceries and stuff. And there's not many plans anymore that have that. But what I've found is that for those that have other health issues, like that are diabetic or maybe have heart issues, there's more plans like that where they still have that monthly allowance. And that's what it was. The lady, she was diabetic. Her husband was diabetic. I was able to put her into a plan that would pay each of them $70. Well, of course, separate policies. Each of them, they'll be getting $70 a month a piece to help with like food, groceries. I think you can even pay your utility bills with that money. So yeah, she was happy. I tried to tell her, well, look, I'm giving you $140 a month now. Let's get this final expense done. But she wouldn't, she wouldn't go with it. So, but in the future, I think I still may get somewhere with her. I think I'm still going to go out today. You sent me all those leads yesterday. I figured, I even asked my wife, we don't have anything going on until later tonight. So usually I'm just home kind of doing agency stuff on Fridays, but I mean, I said I was going to write 10,000 this week. I haven't hit that. And I don't like to BS people. So, I mean, I'm going to do what I can to get out there and write some more business today.
You don't like to BS people?
I don't.
you, you don't you don't like to lead Facebook groups and proclaim your expertise in the industry while owing thousands? You wouldn't say, would
No.
you? That's incredible.
Man, that's embarrassing.
It is, and it's a shame. And I wanted to make it publicly clear. I don't get any thrill out of doing things like that. But that's to protect other people in this industry, because it's hard to tell who knows what the hell they're talking about anymore. And because you're not meeting them, you're not going to their office, you're not going to conventions, you're not shaking hands and watching what they drove in or how they flew or where they dressed, like the tangible things that tell you, I think that guy's got this figured out. When that doesn't exist, and it's
people that don't work with people that are still trying to fake it until they make it.
You know, and don't contract agents
already made
if you haven't figured it out. Like, here's the thing, Adam, and you would know this because you've been in corporate leadership, you've been in field leadership, you've led a family. Like, if you don't have your stuff together, you're in no position to be training or leading or mentoring or overriding anybody. I remember an agent that worked with us long before you did. And he's like, man, I have this guy that's going to come work with me. I'm like, you are dealing with so many own personal problems right now. You have no business attempting to support, train, or mentor anybody but your own damn self. And that's okay. Like, we're not always in positions in our life where we can be leading and training other people, but don't fake it. Like, all you're going to do is hurt somebody else's chances to succeed in a business with unlimited opportunity. People should have a fair shake at winning that chance and not have it wasted by poor leadership out there from people that aren't even making it. So that's just my thoughts on that topic.
So I also wanted to mention, Chris, we have our appointment setting team that this is something that's available to all agents that are in the industry. Feel free to reach out to us about this. And, we could get you lined up with one of our appointment setters. There's different packages out there available, but it's something that's definitely helped me. The last couple of years I've been working with the different appointment setters, and I know, you've taken a lot of time, Chris, to train and develop and work with the call center. And for those of you that did not watch our Dynamic Friday last Friday, go back and check out the podcast where we did interview one of the girls from the appointment setting team. Kind of talks about how she works with the people in the call center and how she trains them. And, and again, I mean, these people were trained by Chris, who has a lot of success in the business. So he's taught these people what to say, what not to say. And it definitely works. It's a very good investment. It's definitely worth the money each week. Their job is just to put you in front of people. There's no guarantee that you're going to make a sale, but what they do is that they get you in front of the people faster. Where, like I mentioned yesterday, I was just door knocking leads yesterday afternoon. I mean, I would much rather have appointments already set for me on those leads. But that's, like I said, if anything, it gets you in front of the people faster. And then it's your job to do the rest. It's your job once you're there. It's not the appointment setter's job to make a sale for you. It's their job to get you there. And then if you're just door knocking it.
Yeah, they take personal pride in what they do. Like, if they don't set a full calendar for you, they'll come in early on their own accord and start setting same days, because I've trained them to do it. Like, they want to do it, and they want to put you in front of people because they understand that they're the first link in the process and that their job matters and they're making an impact. And Adam, one of the things I get the biggest kick out of is when I'm sitting in front of somebody off of a lead on an appointment, and they say to me, man, I never answer my phone. You see my phone, it's been ringing the whole time. I never pick up for anybody. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, you picked up for Gina, you picked up for Annie, you picked up for me, and I'm sitting right here. I'm not saying that out loud, but I'm thinking, I know they're working hard because I know what this person is saying, and I know the reality of me sitting in their house right now presenting them a product that's going to change their life.
They usually don't answer the phone to anybody, but when somebody calls them 3,000 times, they finally decide to pick up. And that's what our appointment setters do. I mean, they will call the hell out of these leads until the person picks up their phone.
And you know what's crazy? We saw a $10 a lead spike in lead costs because our leads are TCPA compliant, because our appointment setters text our leads. They will send a freaking picture of the lead and say, Adam, you filled this out. I'm trying to call you. Or they'll walk through the process via text to set appointments because it works nowadays. And our lead costs have gone up because they have to be TCPA compliant, because they're texted. But all of this stuff that's being done just makes people more money. It's like that blue ocean philosophy you talked about with me, offering something that who else is really doing that?
No, you're right. And like I said, I mean, we offer this even to people that are not part of our group, our organization. People are always looking at sort of things like, what am I going to get out of it? We're just doing this to help people. Honestly, if anything, it just covers some of our costs of operation.
Yeah, barely covers our costs. I mean, we're using Kixie Dialer that costs hundreds of dollars a month so that the girls can power dial through inventory. They're using dial pad on other parts, like so much tech that goes into the background of them doing what they're doing. There's almost no profit to be made in this program, but the profit is to be made in the agents being more time efficient, personally more profitable, less stressed out, and more fulfilled. Like one of the greatest feelings in the world is showing up at 10 a.m. for the appointment and the person's expecting you. And it just leads into a far more comfortable conversation when you're given those. Like, comment, subscribe, engage with the content, share it out with other people. There's probably $100,000 of beneficial information that was just shared for free. Share it with somebody else that could make money by watching what we just shared with you today.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.